you're going to come down lower and lower. What is important is I want you to just keep your ideas, this on your mind clear. In terms of, okay, getting insights, how does it work for you? Don't look at immediate solutions, okay, can I do it immediately? No. This is where I think probably we'll have another technology summit where we'll get down a little more detail and look at how can you use IT-enabled services, or you can look at technology summit for data analytics. We'll get into specific areas, but this is more generic in nature to give you, to trigger the thought process. Now, there can be two types of ways you can look at information. One is to be reactive, look at when it comes, dekha jayega, or the other thing is to be proactive. Now, all the ideas, all the presentations here are focused on the proactive perspective. If you remember this serial, Babu was talking about artificial intelligence, about Ramayana or Mahabharata. Now, there are Devas and Asuras who become invisible. Now, the traditional physical arrows, other things won't work. So, Arjuna had to go to the Devas and then he has to pray and then he gets special weapons. Now, if you look at the power of the special weapons, they're much ahead of the drones in terms of the thought process. Now, you just take that particular special motion, he has a special tool which has got the arrow. Not only that, he chants the mantra, which means he's communicating what he wants from that particular special weapon, and the special weapon will go, pursue that fellow wherever he is, and ensure that he's killed. Okay, so the thought process of ours was much ahead of the drones which are now coming in now. In the case of drones, at least you have to code. Here, there is no coding. Automatically from thought process to the physical process. Now, that's where they say digitization, we are moving from, what is it? Atoms to bits and bytes. And all this is to trigger the thought process. So thank you very much. Now it's 11:35. We'll take a break for 25 minutes, and we request you to be back by 12 o'clock. Thank you. I'm delighted to see that most of you are already back. Quite often we find in most of the seminars we have to call and we have to wait. But here I'm really happy to see that most of you are here. So I think first of all, applause for you for participating in such large numbers. I just want to get a perspective. How many of you are from the industry? Okay, that's a good number. But still we expected much more from the industry. Let's get started. Now we have given you a view from the summit. Okay, so in terms of when you say technology summit. Recently I read a quote which said, you don't drown by falling into the water. You drown by staying there. As far as technology is concerned, I think that technology is going to be a river which is always going to be flowing. Now the thing is, you have to cross this river. Now if you are going to be in the river, now you have to decide whether you're going to swim or sink. And if you have to swim, it requires that you need to take action. Now we have talked from the top, now I'm going to bring it down a little less, this one a little lower, and we'll look at data analytics from an audit perspective, okay? I'll also share you some interesting insights. We talked about artificial intelligence, and it's artificial intelligence something which could be useful for the banks, and maybe something for large organizations where they have large amount of data. No, artificial intelligence or machine learning is something which is going to be there, embedded in most of the machines in the near future. So how is it going to impact now itself? We'll discuss that. Now, if you look at the theme of this summit, we said adopting disruptive digital technologies. We're not talking about usual technologies. We're talking about digital technologies which disrupt in a big way. We're talking about businesses which get disrupted in a big way. For example, recently I was in a summit in Delhi, a global summit. The founder of Uber was there, and one of the questions which was asked to him was about the driverless cars. In the same day of the summit, he said 1 month back, they'd actually done a pilot of driverless cars in San Francisco. And it was supposed to be very successful. And he was talking about the future of driverless cars. One of the participants asked, when are we going to see this driverless technology in Delhi? And the response of Travis was very interesting. He said, our scientists, data scientists who are doing research on artificial intelligence are still not advanced the thought process to such an extent that we can implement it right now in India, in any city, whether in Delhi or Bangalore. So he said the type of driving which human beings do, especially in India, he said he went to Trivandrum and he said the way he drives, he said his heart was pounding and he thanked God at the end of the journey. And he said no driverless cars can drive on the roads of India. He said that technology still is much more ahead. This one is still far, far away. Okay? So you can be rest assured that you still have your jobs secure. Now the question is how long secure, to what extent secure, and can you advance your career, change your orbits in a big way? And that's what is all this summit is all about. This is a brief about me. Let's get going. Besides, we'll have lesser formalities focused on the topic because you come to listen from the speaker, not about the speaker. Okay, what is the agenda? What is that I would like to take? I would like to connect what is done by Deepa and Babu Chandra and take it forward. We look at audit analytics, and I'm going to use the word audit analytics, data analytics, and CATS interchangeably. Primarily, I'm going to speak from the audit perspective, and I'll also bring the BI perspective to some extent. Audit, they say, is the process of collecting and evaluating digital evidence or audit evidence. And in a digital environment, it is a digital evidence. Now you find because of demonetization, one of the impact which is going to be there is going to be a lot of transactions which are of a smaller nature will become digitized. For example, let's say earlier any amount which is less than 1,000 rupees, I always believed in paying cash. Now I find that, okay, anything less than 200 rupees or 100 rupees only I'll pay cash, otherwise I'll pay in this one only through the digital means. So if that is the case, which means whatever clients you're auditing, they have to adopt the digital modes of business. So if the digital modes of business comes in, even for small transactions, earlier I could pass one accounting entry saying cash sales of the day or cash sales of the week or cash sales of the month. Now every transaction is going to be accounted. Now you have to audit it. And it's possible that in the case of digital transactions, it's possible to do fraud. And that's where, as auditors, we need to be proactive and see how we can actually be much ahead of the people who commit fraud and identify frauds. We'll also talk about business intelligence and audit analytics, the key distinction between the two. As auditors, should we focus only on data analytics, or should we also know about business intelligence? What is the distinction between the two? And I'll also give you some examples of tools which are readily available, which most of you are familiar. So by going through this, you should know, okay, all these concepts, they sounded esoteric. They're not really esoteric. They're actually used at a practical level. How they're practically relevant to you, we'll also look at it. And primarily, we're talking about digital data. Data which is available physically, now available digitally. How do you audit this digital data? And especially, let's say you're doing a financial statement audit. Your audit approach has to change. You have to become process-oriented than being function-oriented. How do you bring this shift in perspective? That's what we're going to talk about. And there are a lot of automated tools available. And quite often, you may believe that these are tools which are very, very expensive, which can be used only by the high-level auditors. I just want to demonstrate to you it's not necessary. There are tools which are very simple and which are being used by many auditors and CAs. You can also use this. And some of the high-level concepts we talked about in artificial intelligence are also embedded, available in many of the commonly known tools. I'll also show them to you. And we'll look at data insights. We'll have a look ahead of the future, get a peep into the future and look at what is data analytics all about. What is the road ahead? So let's get to cracking to the first topic, audit analytics. So before going to the topic, I thought maybe I'll give a small video. If you have a look at this video, you might be already, this will give you a perspective of what this, okay, so there seems to be an issue with my laptop. Let me just, no, my mouse. Now with Windows, I think you need to keep on learning. This is about technology. Right, it's a small video. I just wanted to look at this video and tell me what is the perspective, especially if you know this concept, you'll know what data analytics is all about. I'm going to ask you, have you got it? Have you got the message? And especially the context of data analytics. And if you understood the concept, I think you can go home because you already know what data analytics is all about. So there is a traditional way of this one audit. There is a traditional way of fishing, where the person waits and then reactively you're looking at, okay, when the fish is going to come. Now there is another way, which is a proactive way, where you look at, okay, you scan the environment, look at what that you want. You know, okay, that particular fish, what is that it wants, and you have the technique to actually dive down, pick what you want. So in the case of data analytics, primarily it's about your ability to navigate the information systems, the information technology, the different layers of the information technology, go to the data the vast pool of data is available, pick the relevant data which you require based on your exceptions, based on your rules, and then infer insights and identify exceptions. This is what data analytics is all about. So you don't need to look at technology from a technology's perspective, but you need to technologies from an audit perspective. What is that you require? How can you actually audit this? This is what is most important. Let's go with this. Now you know this situation when the Indian economy is transferring from cash to cashless. There's a big push of cash to cashless. Recently, I had the opportunity of listening to the presentation from the chairman of Niti Aayog, Abhinav Kant, and he was talking about there is digital is the future. If you have to lead the world, digital is what we have to adopt. Most of transactions have to become digital. So there's a big push towards digitization. So digitization was not something which is being adopted by enterprises. It's being given a legislative push, and that's where we need to look at. Now, our assurance, can we move it from paper to paperless? And we cannot do it unless we know how to analyze the data, how to access the data, digital data, pick up what we want. And if we can do this audit, we can provide much more value addition. I'll only not talk about the concept, but I'll also show you how it is possible. Now, data analytics is not necessarily a special software. Even Excel can be used for data analytics. You have general audit software, which are also add-in to Excel. I'll give you a quick demo of some of the software. So you can have a quick add-in to Excel, which means you're already familiar with Excel. Excel is an excellent tool. You can also use it for data analytics. Similarly, there are also add-in software to Excel, which can be used for data analytics. General audit software, most of the software, especially from the part of general audit, there are some specific software like ACL, IDEA, Softcat, and various other Arbiter software. These are specific software which are made from a general audit perspective, which means using this software, you can import data from any platform, whether the client is using Tally, whether the client is using Profit or Wings or any in-house software, or you're using a high-end software or a banking software, whatever be the type of software, you know what are the elements of data you want. You can import that particular data which you want, and then you can do the analysis. These general audit software are specialized software which are meant specifically for the auditors. Just like Excel is made for financial analysis, this data analytics software or general audit software are software which are made primarily for the purpose of the audit. So they have about 60 to 70 techniques which can be used. I'll give you a quick overview of what are these 20 techniques which are most commonly used across all general audit software. The beauty is this general audit software, it's not necessary that you should buy. If you know the concept, you can also use this concept in specific software. Now we're talking about artificial intelligence. We're talking about, Babu gave some examples. I'll also show you artificial intelligence in Tally. You may not have known, so I'll show you, okay, what are these repetitive transactions, where is it available? So what is important is for you to know that these are available and then start using it. Most often, I think we operate like a, what is it? What is it called? Horse, which is bridled. So I wanted to remove the bridle, look at it from a much more narrow, a broader perspective rather than narrow perspective. There are also application software which has specific techniques which can be used for data analytics. We'll give you some examples of this. For example, let's say if you look at Finacle, Finacle itself has an audit module. This audit module could be a part of the Finacle software itself, and many of the banks have also developed a special audit module which can be used by the auditors. So when you're doing the audit, one of the first things you need to ask is, you need to get access to the live data. You also need to get access to the audit module which is being used, or you can develop your own audit module depending on your requirements. You also have specialized audit software. We'll not get into this as of now. So what does this slide show? That there's a huge deluge of data. We are living in a tsunami of data. You don't even know how much of data we are creating. So this gives you some examples of how much of data is being created now. The beauty is we can analyze large volumes of fast-moving data. This is not static data, it's fast-moving data. This could be from diverse sources. Not only that, we can also infer insights. Earlier it was said data has to be structured to be able to analyze. Now you find data doesn't have to be structured. You can also do analysis from unstructured data. For example, there are tools where using, let's say, tools using which you can actually query or pick up insight from social media data, like Twitter, Facebook, and various other means. So there are ways you can get this information. So it means these tools actually work not only on structured data, but also on unstructured data. Now let us come back nearer and look at, most of us deal with income tax. Now we know income tax. Long back I remember the chairman of CBDT was making a presentation and he said the income tax department has got about 112 sources from which they can get data. And he said the problem is we are not even able to use 11 sources of data, and quite often when we use also we are not able to correlate the data, and the client always gets away. The assessee always gets away because you're not able to relate this data. With digitization now, the IT department is using data analytics in a big way to dig out unaccounted income. This is a recent news which was published, which shows that they're also using data analytics to parse for the points of similarity to see if any attempt has been made to split up transactions. Now, if you think earlier you can split the transactions and make 25,000, if the limit is 50,000, make it as 40,000 or 49,000 or spread it out or spread across different accounts or different dates, whatever be the way, still the income tax department can do the analytics and find out this information. We talked about robotic process automation. The income tax department is also talking about robo audits, which can be used to identify, hunt out, and identify which are the things which are beyond the exceptions. Like Babu was talking about artificial intelligence, machine learning. They're also using this to identify. For example, they found out there are 7 lakh crore deposits made by some 60 lakh individuals based on demonetization, and this is a rich gold mine of data which the income tax department is talking about. Now, the fact is whether 97% money has come in or not doesn't matter. Whether it's come or not, the fact is the money has come in. Now, all this information is available digitally. Now, it's only a question of time that the income tax department will start investigating the data and then identifying what are the things which are outside the pattern. What are the outliers? All this can be easily traced out, and I cannot guess how much a percentage of money can be gotten. So you can tell your clients that if they kept deposits, whatever be the means, whatever be the ways, still that can be found out using information technology. And let me tell you that the brains for doing this data analytics is also being given by chartered accountants. The income tax department had a very huge artificial intelligence or a business intelligence solution which they bought from IBM long back. I remember the Central Excise department, they're talking about, we bought this IBM Cognos, but they didn't even know how to use 1% or 2% of this data or data analytics tool. Now this chartered accountant, who has been involved with his team, has helped the income tax department to unearth, using developing his own tools, techniques. He has been able to show how you can actually navigate this maze of data and pick up all the exceptions. And you're showing me on his mobile, see this newspaper you saw, 10,000 notices issued. He said that is based on the data analytics we've done. Now, the best part is you're saying we also need more and more CAs to be available to us because we want to do this investigation across. Now, earlier, you're saving tax. Now, CAs are helping the government to get tax. And now, it's also possible that he's also helping to get more because once the income tax sends a notice, so who is the client assessee going to come to? So he's also generating business for you. So both ways you get benefited. Now you can decide which way you want to get it. Now let's look at some of the scenarios which data analytics can be done by the income tax department. This they say in US it's already being done. So you claim travel expenses, and then the social media can be scanned. And social media, you find most of the photos you put is of visit to this museum, visit to this particular beach, all these photos. Based on that, they can scan and tell you, okay, you have claimed business travel expenses, but you found most of the time, where is the business? Okay, that's possible. So which means all the information which you put on social media, be careful. You thought you have put holidays, but you have claimed expenses that can be scanned. Your credit card transactions, whatever be the credit card transactions, whichever way you have done, you can do. And recently, my friend was telling me that now they decided to look at even Paytm transactions. You thought Paytm is out of the purview. I was telling him Paytm, the amount is small. He said, no, if you add the volume. We also come across cases where, let's say 20,000 rupees, they got 50 people, 100 people trying to do transactions with Paytm. They say now the best part he said is the government is very proactive. So he gets an idea and says, let's get this information. Immediately the income tax department sends a notice. Within a few days, the data is available. And now you start mining the data. And then you find out so many interesting patterns. You also have micro travel data, which means wherever you traveled, whatever travel you've done, you can actually find out patterns and check whether this is for your business purposes. You can also construct your financial DNA. Bob was telling what now, you can identify your financial DNA in terms of what is your inflow pattern, where is your outflow pattern. So you can actually identify, okay, what is that you actually declared in the books, and what does the reality show, based on different means of information. Because you should know where are transactions happening, and that's why the government is pushing greatly towards digitization. Wherever the transaction happens, they can pick that information. And most of the cases, you can always map the transaction. You can accumulate the transactions, collate the transactions, relate the transactions. Based on that, you can get the complete pattern. So we know what is your income and how much is being spent, and what is the amount for which you are paying taxes. So this could also be an opportunity for you to be proactive, tell your clients Be careful about where you spend and how much you declare, because it can be found out. The best part, even CAs, the profile of the CAs with their history in terms of what type of clients they have, what type of service they provide, even that is being profiled. Even that also can be profiled. Now let's come to business intelligence and data analytics. What are the key distinctions? So when the data is available technologically or digitally, the key differentiator of skill is CATS, which is computer-assisted audit tools and techniques. Why? Because 80% of what you audit is mostly available in digital form, so you should know how to access and analyze this digital data, which is available in technology. They say data is the lifeblood of a modern digital enterprise. So data analytics is not a skill which you say, I want to have in the near future. This is a necessity now. And this is supposed to become a part of your DNA or a part of your regular toolkit for a CA. Now let's look at digital data. How do you analyze digital data? I'm just going to show you one slide here. If you get this particular perspective of this slide, I think you know what data analytics is all about. We know any assurance, whatever be the type of assurance, whether it's a compliance or business process, any type of assurance, there is an assurance process you're supposed to follow. Primarily, they say audit is the process of collecting and evaluating evidence as per the audit objectives. So if you have to audit, let's say tax audit or VAT audit, internal audit, whatever be the type of audit, primarily we need to understand the business process. We need to understand what is the organized structure. We need to understand what are the regulatory requirements which are applicable. And we also need to understand what are the technology deployed. So quite often you see most of the cases, if I ask a CA, I have looked at the CAs because we are developing a solution. So I asked the CA to give me the list of all his clients. And for this, there is an Excel sheet which gives a list of all the clients, which also gives what are the different types of services you're getting. And also he can also earmark and say, this is the type of revenue which is generating. Which means for each of your clients, you know what are the services you're providing, what are the revenue you're generating. Now the next question which I ask is, okay, it's good that you got an idea about what are the services you're providing. This is only the existing services. Most of the services are compliance in nature. I said, do you have an idea about what are the technologies being used? Do you have an Excel sheet which gives you, for all the clients which you have, what are the technology platform they're using, so that you know what are the common technology, what are the application software, what are the database. Most of them say, no, we don't even collect the data at all. So in the traditional way of audit, I think that's not relevant, because what you wanted certain data for the purpose of audit, you collected the piece of information and the audit is over. For example, let's say if you're doing a VAT audit, for the purpose of audit, you have to give a VAT audit report, and let's say there are about 16 bits of information I have to collect. I collect that information, put it in Excel, duplicate it, process, analyze, and based on that, I have prepared the audit report. I'm not really bothered about what is the technology which is being used, because if I want some information, I export it from, let's say, Tally or whatever data they have. I reprocess it in Excel, and based on that, I also analyze with the returns which have been filed, and I can come to a conclusion. Quite often, this is not process dependent. This is a person dependent. And that is a major problem I found in most of the CA offices. Okay. Why? Because we are not using technology. If you can use technology, what can happen is this VAT audit, let's say you're taking 20 days for doing a VAT audit, probably you can do in 2 to 3 days. But initially, you have to invest time in understanding what are the different types of technology platform which is being used. If you make analysis across all your clients, most of you would find traditionally you can bracket this data, data sources into 2 types of data. One data which is a standard software, like you have Tally or some other software, or you also have high-end software, or in some cases you also have in-house software, which means the client has actually developed the software. In both the cases, the approach has to be slightly different. But the first thing you need to do is you need to spend time in understanding what are the technology being used. And for the purpose of audit, how do you access the data directly from the source or using this application software and then do the analysis? That's what is most important. So if you look at the 4 squares here, technology was one component where you could actually review and then understand, use technology for the purpose of audit. Now with extensive digitization, what's happening is, now there is an external layer. And what is the external layer? All the business processes, the regulatory requirements, organizational structure, everything has got embedded inside technology. So if you want to analyze the business process, you have to get inside technology. You want to understand the regulatory requirements, let's say tax audit, TDS has been deducted, that's a component of technology. You want to check what is the organizational structure, who has got access to what, that's also embedded inside technology, which means if you don't understand the technology layer, you cannot really be an effective auditor. So if you have to do an audit, especially in a digital environment, I think let's look at the steps which you follow. You need to establish specifically what are the audit objectives to be achieved. Now, let me take an example of a tax audit or a VAT audit. I think both the cases, the audit objectives will not change. Okay? So you'll also have a defined period of time that will be audited, and you have to arrange with IT personnel to get the data. In the case of digital environment, you have to see that you get a copy of the data. And most of you, if you are using Tally, you know you always get a copy of the digital data. Now the question is, what do you do with the data? It's not that what you know, but what you do with what you know is going to be the differentiator. You need to define the source of data which needs to be analyzed. For example, let's say you are auditing payable or receivables, or you are auditing cash payments. So it's also important for you to know what is the sources of data from which you can get this information, and what are the reasons for performing, what are the different types of tests you can perform. I'll give you a quick demo a little later. And once you decided these audit objectives, you can decide what are the tests to be performed, and based on that you can have much better assurance that you provide assurance to the clients. And you can also be sure that you have actually done audit of 100% of the data. Now let's look at holistically if you're doing a financial statement audit. Now this they say is the financial statement assertions. Let's say we look at completeness of data, or accuracy of the data, or validity of the data. This is what when you're doing a financial statement audit, you're supposed to audit. Okay. Now, we do this it has become a part of our DNA. We assume we are going to check completeness. We assume that we are checking accuracy. We have our own ad hoc methods when we audit in a manual environment. But in the case of digital environment, let's say a simple thing. If you want to check, let's say cutoff. What does cutoff mean? The transactions of the year only have been accounted. So if that I want to check, now in Tally, you know it's very simple. So you know what is the accounting period, based on that you can check. Let's say if you're using any other software, you can import the data, just sort it. What is it? Ascending or descending, you'll know what is the starting date, ending date. Then you know based on that, you know taken care of. So the way you approach the data has to be, the way you approach the audit has to be completely different. So this is where they said there's a paradigm shift in the way data analytics brings to your audit approach. So the focus moves from the field work. Most of the time I found a lot of cribbing about articles not being available, articles taking too much of leave. There's too much dependence on the personnel. Now if you make the audit process oriented, you find it becomes more process oriented, and you don't need to worry about getting things done. You can monitor and get things done. In the next presentation, probably you'll see an example of how it's being actually done. How can data analytics help auditors? So fundamentally, if you say it's all audit, they say is all about asking intelligent questions. So, but the important thing is, in the case of compliance, you know what questions to ask. So if there is a presentation, let's say on GST, this seminar was on GST, for a 30-minute presentation, there will be more than 300 questions. But as a technology seminar, I think we still don't even know, okay, what are the questions to ask? And this summit is only about triggering that particular thought process, asking questions. In the case of digital data also, you should be able to ask the right questions. And you can embed analytics into the culture of the internal audit function. So it means make the data analytics as a part of your audit process. And you can align the analytics process as a part of your audit planning. You can start this at the planning stage itself. You don't need to bring at the end. Let's look at how we can do. So let's say I was talking about hindsight, insight, and foresight. In hindsight, most of our audits are on hindsight, which means we look at what has happened, how many, often, where, like that, we look at these questions. But if you look at the same thing from a business intelligence perspective, we are looking at where is the problem, what actions should be needed, why is this happening? Like Babu talked about AI, and this is what we're doing in business intelligence solutions. And we're also looking at foresight. What will happen to the enterprise if these same trends continue? And what will happen next? So data analytics actually is of three types. The first one is called as descriptive analytics. The second is called as predictive analytics. And the third one is prescriptive analytics. So if you look at descriptive analytics, you look at a large volume of data, and based on that you formulate the hypothesis of what has happened. So if you look at predictive analytics, you look at, based on the past pattern, what's going to happen in the future. Okay, when you look at prescriptive analytics, you're looking at not only prediction, you're also saying what action can be taken. What is the prescription for the type of an element? For example, let's say a large company has got credit card transactions. Based on the credit card transaction, you can decide whether the person's credit limit should be increased or decreased, or the credit card should be cancelled. And this friend of mine was telling me, the income tax department is also now moving from prescriptive analytics. They're also going ahead with what is called as predictive analytics, which means based on the pattern of the declaration which you have made and the transactions which are there, they're actually categorizing clients into different types. The assessees. Okay, this assessee is very good. He's very, very compliant. Okay, this assessee is in the border. And this assessee, you always have to be careful. Now, this is possible based on this. The income tax department is becoming much more proactive in actually using this predictive analytics. So you should also become proactive and tell your clients that the client doesn't have to come at the end to just decide what is the quantum of tax to be paid. There's much more value addition he'll get, because you will find he'll get much more notices and he'll not know what hit him, from where he's getting this information. Okay, so it's better that you know this is going to happen. Now let's look at where data analytics can be used in internal audit. This gives you perspective. You can use for risk control matrix. You can use for the control test plan, what are the different types of testing you want to perform. You can also use it for substantive testing. For example, let's say I have data of 1 million transactions. I want to check up whether all these 1 million transactions, they are compliant with the income tax regulations pertaining to TDS. So just running one query, I can do this analysis of all these transactions. That is called a substantive test. And based on that, I can formulate the audit opinion. One important factor you need to remember, the software can give you information. Like it can process data and give you information. But to infer insights, you need application of thought. And that's where your domain knowledge expertise comes in. Now let's look at quickly some of the tools which could be there. Okay, now you'll find most of this, if I just ask you to do a research or survey. I have been doing this work for the last 20 years because my passion has been technology, and in technology also I've got more into data analytics. I've been studying different types of software, high-end software, low-end software, medium software, all types of software. Looked at, okay, you look at across all the software, what are the top 20 techniques which are used in most of the software? Now these techniques, probably you know already 50% of them. Okay, let's look at it and then we'll see. And maybe I'll show you a demo of some of them. Aging. Most of you are already familiar with aging. So what do you do in aging? You actually put them based on the period. Okay, this is one type of pattern. So you also append the data, which means you can actually accumulate all the data, put in one place and do the analysis. You can do authentication check. You can do authorizations. You can classify the data. What is an example of classify? So let's say you have a ledger. What is ledger posting? Ledger posting is nothing but classify, which means you picked up all the transactions from whatever the type of transaction happened, put in one place, and that is a ledger. And that's what is possible through classify. You can also do compare across different sections. You can identify duplicates that happened. You can identify exceptions. You can extract required amount of data based on this requirement. You can also identify the format. Okay, if you got, let's say, income tax numbers, PAN number is given. You want to identify whether these PAN numbers are genuine. The PAN numbers are as per a particular pattern. Can you identify based on the pattern whether the PAN number is genuine even without going to the income tax department? At least based on format, you know whether the PAN number is genuine, how many times it has been repeated. Is the PAN number, same PAN number is used by different people? You can find out that. Okay? So like that, you have filter, you can identify gaps in the data, you can identify changes. Let's say you got payroll of, let's say, 20,000 employees, and you got the data for last 12 months. You want to identify changes between each of these months to see the pattern. Okay, whether all of them are going in a particular way or there are any exceptions. Okay, one employee getting a huge exception, you can get this information. You can also query. This is the most important thing. Most of the application software have these query features, which means you can query and pick what data you want. You can also do sampling. You can do a sequence check. For example, all the invoices, are they in a sequence? You can do sorting. You can do stratify the data based on particular category, and you can also summarize the data. Now, before I get to the demo, let me give you a quick overview of what are the type of BI solutions. Babu was talking about artificial intelligence. Where are enterprise moving towards? Now, they're all talking about embedding the algorithm in the enterprise information system. So if you look at here, what you're looking at, you identify the source of data, ingest the data, prepare the data, analyze the data, and visualize and test the results. So this particular transaction, let's say the income tax department has got huge amount of data, probably let's say 10 million transactions. Now it will be very difficult to do the analysis. You can actually get a pattern and identify what is the difference so that you know which are the outliers, which are the ones which are actually beyond the boundary. So fundamentally, if you have to understand data analytics in one context, it's simple. You've got data which is coming from multiple sources. You decide what's the algorithm, and based on that you get insights based on which you can take action. Now what should be the algorithm? Now this is where you actually define the algorithm or the rule saying this is what I want. Now for example, this friend of mine, I said, he's actually giving the algorithm for the income tax department. Okay, for example, he was telling in one case, one example. Now the income tax department for assessees collects so much of data. He said we are able to collect, let's say, match about 6 types of data, and based on that I can tell with 100% confidence all the transactions are belong to the same PAN number. And now looking at the records, you know that that amount of information has not been declared at all. Now this algorithm, now slowly the machines are also learning. Now the question is, now this is a race against the machines. Now it's just a question of time, machines will also catch up. But the beauty is, God, when He created you, has actually given you immense capacity. Okay, now the question is, now we need to, the more we exploit this capacity, then more we harness the power. So let's look at, I thought the best thing to understand this business analytics, business solutions could be to look at what is the perspective we need to have. I just wanted to look at, this is a recent advertisement from Amazon for a business analyst. Okay, they're asking for a business analyst. I want to look at the characteristics and see whether you fall into this category. Religious, diving deep into data and can help solve tough business problems. So primarily data analytics, when you look at it from a BA perspective, is to solve problems. So it means the person should be a creative business problem. And as CAs, we know, we can creatively solve business problems. But our expertise has been focused more on compliance areas. Now we need to focus our shift our focus to business areas. To improve detection of misuse of platform and will identify trends of buyer or seller behavior. Exciting about deliverance strategies. We are not looking at only the operations, we are looking from the strategy. Play a key role in influencing product and service launches. So it means based on analytics done, you're also deciding how what are the new types of products, pricing strategy is going to be adopted by the company. For example, based on, let's say you visit a website and you are looking for a particular product. They do analysis and say, okay, they have a prediction that 10 times you have hit a page, 2 times at least the person will buy. So if they find, okay, for this particular page, for a particular product, more than 20 hits have happened and the customers are not buying, then they tell the vendor, there's a problem with your pricing. So a lot of hits which are happening, but people are not buying. So then they get into analytics and see why that is happening. Okay, is it the price being, this one is lesser in other places, or what could be the problem with that? So what does the business analyst do? So establish scalable, efficient, automated process for large-scale data analysis, logical ideations, data validations, and rule implementations. Primarily, it's all about the business rules. Perform business analytics using the data. Now, if you look at the technology platform, SQL, SAS, Excel, Access, these are not very high-end platforms. Most of you can learn if you spend a few days. And the most important asset where CES has is what is called the domain knowledge in different areas. Now, if you can combine with the technology skills, but into specific areas, then you can really become exceptional. And that's what I was telling my friend, that he's an exception, he's a living example of how data analytics can be used for the service of the nation. So you can also track general business activities. What is basic qualification they're looking at? If you see basic qualification they're looking at, not very high end. He needs to know about SQL, SAS, Access, Excel. And probably 50% of you already know 50% of this. Analytical mindset, and as CES we know most of us have analytical mindset. And we should be detailed oriented, and that we know. And ability to extract data from different sources and complete analysis to drive solutions to business problems. So this is most important. We are not looking at data analytics only for the purpose of finding fault. We are looking at proactively how we can solve business problems, how we can help them to achieve the strategy. So let's look at the data analytics, some key insights. Before I come to this, I thought I'll give you a quick demo. Now, let me come to our favorite software, Tally. The beauty of technology, sometimes you need to keep unlearn and relearn. Okay, now, I'm not sure, how many of you know there's something called audit and compliance feature in Tally? Okay, good, so but it's only a very few number. In audit and compliance, if you look at this particular module, you have audit documentation, which mostly focus on audit documentation. Let's leave that, let's come to the audit analysis. In audit analysis, this I think when you're doing the audit, I think first thing when you get the data, as a partner level assessment, if you're doing a review, I think this is what you should look at. At a macro level, it's not 100%, at least Tally gives you ready-made data based on which you can do further analysis. What are the accounts cleared off during the year? So what are the risks here? In Tally, generally when you generate a report, what will happen? You will get transactions, only where transactions exist, where the opening balance or closing balance is there. Okay, in this case, there are many cases the opening balance of the transaction is zero. Most of the cases, you don't get the accounts at all. So Tally identifies which are the transactions where the transactions are, the accounts are opened and closed during the year. What is the potential? The potential there could be fraud, or there could be some adjustments. Similarly, there are transactions, accounts have been created, but they're not been used at all during the year. Okay, similarly, you've got transactions where there are only opening balance. So what does this mean? These are transactions, there are no transactions at all, which means these might be bad debts which have been just continued in the accounts, or these are fictitious accounts for which there are no accounts at all. Maybe they have to be written off as bad debts, or you have to do further analysis. Similarly, you have nominal ledgers, which means revenue ledgers, which have got opening balance, which you should know should not be there. Now you also have transactions which are used only in the current year. What does it mean? These are accounts which have been opened during the year only, which means these are new accounts. So this you need to do, look at it in detail and see what are the type of transactions happened and what is the volume of transactions happened. Now similarly, you got for verification stock items, it gives you negative stock item not used only in current year. Just look at verification of balances. So it also gives you an overview of the different accounts. You also analytical procedures. Now generally when you say one of the things as per audit requirement is analytical procedures. Let's say I want to compare the sales with the sales ratio, or I want to compare the sales with the salaries. So I can actually do group analysis of different accounts, and I can get in a perspective of, okay, what has happened in the last year and what has happened in the pattern in the current year. You also got pending documents. Now, statutory payments, what are the different types of statutory payments? Okay, I want to show you one important thing. Now we are talking about artificial intelligence. Now here we are talking about periodic payments. What are the accounts which have got periodic payments? For example, let's say rent or salary, you can pick up these items. Let's look at, this is what you're talking about. Babu was talking about artificial intelligence. Now this is a simple technique. What is that we are interested in? We are finding out repeated transactions. Okay, now there is a way in which you can get for each of the accounts, Tally gives you how many number of times the transaction has been repeated. So not only that, you can also drill down and find out the number of transactions. For example, let's say rent. You know rent has to happen only 12 times during the year. Or you can pick up any security payment you are making for the security agency. That also happens 12 times in a year. So based on this, you can find out the pattern. And if some transactions have been, some accounts have been created and there are a lot of transactions, you can identify this one shot. Okay, there's one more interesting thing, which is called as relative size factor. What is the relative size factor? Relative size factor is, now it gives you the relative size factor. Now the difference between the first, the topmost, and the second highest, it finds the ratio and then based on that it gives you that information. For example, let's say I'm buying a particular product. The price of the product is generally 5,000 rupees. Okay, and then over a period of time it varies from 5,000, 5,200, 4,800, 5,500 like that. Now I find this one item which is actually 15,000. Now the relative size factor finds out 15,000, the next highest item is 6,000, based on the RSF is 2.5. So which means you can find out all these exceptions in one shot. Okay, this is about Tally. Let me give you a perspective of data analytics from an audit perspective. Now this is a audit software, which is an add-in to Excel, okay, which is called as ECAT. Now let's say we want to do, now if you see here, the software has been designed in such a way that you can curate the data, which means when you get the data, you need to purify the data. You can actually profile the data. You can also perform various types of analysis. Okay. Let me give you a quick overview of, let's say I want to stratify the sales which has happened based on the numeric. Now this is what I'm talking about, pattern analysis, which Babu talked about. I want to find out the pattern. I want to form this pattern analysis based on the sales, and I want to total the sales. Now it tells me what is the minimum, what is the maximum, and what is the, this one increment value. I want to change the increment value, make it as 50,000, and as a fill, and based on that I say okay. I just want to give a demonstration that understanding data analytics is not a big skill. If you already know Excel, you can also use any data analytics software. It requires a little amount of learning. Now based on this, now you got a quick idea. So based on this, you know the pattern of the transactions. Most of the transactions are falling between 500 to 50,499. Okay, you want to do further analysis, you can go and once again change the pattern. Based on that you can get an idea. Okay, now let's say you apply to demonetization. You want to apply to transactions which happen between a particular range, or for a particular customer, or for a particular product. Using this simple concept to stratify, you can do various types of analysis. I'll show you a couple more. Let me just see. Let's say I do classify. This is a sales transaction data which got more than 6,000 transactions. Now I want to classify based on the user ID. Okay, let's say I'm doing an audit. I want to check up how many number of transactions have been entered by which user. I've just picked up this particular information. See, I just did two selector. Okay, I selected the user ID and I selected the sales, and I said okay. See, now based on this, can I find out? The software has processed this information based on all these transactions happened. The beauty is whether 6,000 or 6 million, you can still do it, subject to the limitations of Excel. Now you find immediately that there are 10 transactions where there are no user ID at all. Okay, and you also know the value. Not only that, you can drill down and go to that particular data, identify which of the transactions happened. You also know here the total number of transactions done by each of the users. Now if you see here, maximum number of transactions done by one particular user, 3,406. Then you can find out why this particular user is doing so many transactions. You also find users who have done only 1 or 2 transactions. Then you can find out why these users have been created. Is it temporary user ID or this is a vendor user ID? So like that you can do analysis. Let's say same thing I'm doing for the purpose of VAT audit. I'm doing analysis of the sales. I don't have the data, but I'll just give you an example. Let's say I'm doing the sales analysis as per the name. What are the sales which are happening as per the name? And this is what we call as posting. So general ledger. Now see, at one shot I created. I'm not bothered about what that client has got. I got the raw data which is there, and based on that I've classified the data. For each of the party wise, I get to know what is the count of transactions, what is the percentage, what is the sum of sales, and what is the percent of sales. Not only that, I can also do a single click, and based on that I can know which customer has got how many volume of transactions. Or what is it based on the count, which customer has got maximum number of transactions. Now this is simple data analytics which can be done even in Excel. What I'm showing you is an add-on tool to Excel. I'll just show you 2 more. Let's say we're looking at demonetization. We also have something called fuzzy match, sampling, split sheet, etc. Now I've got something called MIS. Now based on the invoice data, I have the sales. I got MIS. Now I want to do MIS based on day of the week. Okay, just look at this. I just selected these 2 things, and I say OK. Now what has it given? It is given me sales as per each day of the week. Okay, Sunday how many transactions, Monday how many transactions. Okay, so based on not only that, if I want to, this is what is called as BI. Data analytics can also be used as BI. I want to know what is the pattern in our company. So you find Monday is this day on which minimum number of transactions happen, and Sunday is the one which maximum number of transactions happen. Now if there's an e-commerce store, then they can decide, okay, what type of pricing scheme they have to come out with. Same thing, let's say I want to do this MIS based on sales. I selected sales, I picked up MIS. Now I want to do based on the day of the month. Okay, what is the day of the month? Which means what are the total sales which happened on the first day of the month? What are the transactions which happened on the second day of the month? This is what is called as a pattern analysis. Now based on this I know, for example, if you look at demonetization, if you look at this particular transaction, you know what are the transactions, what is the general pattern, and all of a sudden you find a spike. And this is what the income tax department will be doing with your data. They'll do a spike, look at the past and look at how many transactions happened on a particular days. Let's say you say 8, 9, 10th, whatever dates you're given, they'll tell you, okay, last 2 years if you look at your data, generally your pattern is so much. So what is the spike? How come it has happened so much? Okay. Now I know that, okay, on this first day of the month, generally the sales is so much. Now if I want to see on what day of the sales my sales is highest, you find the sales highest on 27th, 25th, and 26th. Now as an auditor, if I want to check whether they've done any window dressing, I can also find out based on this. So this just to give you an idea that you can look at data analytics not as a sorting tool which can be used by high-end auditors. It's something which can be used by any auditor. So I'll just conclude in 5 minutes. So I'll just give you a quick overview of what are the tools. I think if you want to see more details, I've made a presentation in Bangalore branch. That video is available. You can look at that video on YouTube channel of Bangalore branch. My idea of this presentation was to trigger the thought process that you can also do data analytics, whatever be the software you're using. Now what is going to happen as far as data analytics is concerned? Now this is an example which I read recently. The US Air Force finds over $1.4 billion using data analytics. Okay, so identify the areas of error, waste, you can analyze 100% of the population. Do root cause analysis. This is what is important. For example, I dig down, identify the pattern, based on that I do further analysis. Okay, so verify and confirm the compliances. For example, I want to find out whether all the sales which happened are of a particular type. I can pick up that information. So what is important is you need to bring a new thinking process to data. And most important is you can enhance productivity. For a professional, I think that time is the most important asset. You find that you can do more with less. So it's not about the data you have, it's about the data you want. So you may have a lot of data. All of you have got client data of Tally of last 10 years. It's not that you got the data, but what do you do with that data? Okay, now you should remember data is everywhere. Now with digital data is everywhere. Not only that, you don't even know in India, because the privacy regulations are not very strict. You find you go to website, you're booking some hotels. Next 10, 15 days, you keep on getting information. For example, let's say I was in Delhi last month. I used Uber. Still now I keep on getting information about Uber. Or I booked a hotel in Delhi, I keep on getting information. Including medical or anything. For example, you could do a health test. That fellow will test you, send you information. We can do diagnostic test for you at this particular rate. Okay, this is where data is everywhere. The analytics also has to be everywhere. So this is what the Gartner study said. There is no analytics strategy. There is no big data strategy, no information strategy. What primarily client requires the data strategy. What are the piece of elements of data which is being created? Where are they available? Who can access this information? Based on what is that strategy within the enterprise to use this data, to harness value from this data. And they say data is a new petrol. What is new petrol? What do you call petrol instead of petrol or diesel? What is the common name for that? Data is the new fuel, correct. Data is the new fuel. So this is what they say. We are talking about high-end tools? No. By 2017, they say, virtually all analytics software purchase, whatever you want to do, will begin as a free or low-cost proof of concept. For example, Microsoft has got Power BI, which is available as a free download, using which you can do a lot of data analytics. Using Excel, you can do a lot of data analytics. There are also a lot of free tools which are available as an add-in to Excel. And there are also add-in software is available in Excel. So why there is a need for audit? So we know the most expensive thing in the world is trust. They say it takes about 30 years to build a reputation, and you can lose that in 30 seconds. As auditors, we are the custodians of trust. So when we sign, it's not just a signature. We put in reliability. There's a credibility for that particular statement. Now the important question we need to ask is, when I've signed, am I providing that particular trust? Am I confident enough to be able to sign? Or, like they say, in God we trust, rest we audit. That's supposed to be the principle. Now similarly, are we changed to say in God we trust and then we sign? I think we need to change the paradigm. Okay, this is a summary of what we discussed. We looked at what is audit analytics is all about. So it's primarily about evaluating digital evidence. So you know there is a big, small differentiation between business intelligence and data analytics. As auditors, we need to know both. And digital data is available aplenty. You can use it for any type of a compliance, not only for providing compliance services. The value is going to be more in terms of business value services you can provide. And audit techniques, if you know, let's say if you spend about 1 or 2 days, you can learn the key techniques which are required for data analytics. So thank you very much. I hope it was useful. Okay, considering the paucity of time, what we'll do is I'll take the decision that we'll have the questions later at the panel discussion. The panel discussion we kept 1 hour. So any question which you want to ask, I think you can keep it in the panel discussion. So I'd like to, without any further ado, I would like to